I hope I was hoping that I was capturing the voice. I was hoping to that I was capturing this the voice of my neighbors. They call people dogs, and you hear them trash that they are. These people, in the last video, I was talking about how this program has caused many lives, just because of many things. They've caused mass shootings. They know that. They've tortured women and children. They know that. They are the trash of the earth. As much as they try to manipulate me in many ways. I was hearing them calling our pedo. The awkward part of this is just magical because we know who's the pedophiles. These people sold their soul to pedophiles and now calling people dogs. These people torture children and now calling dogs. Try to sound fierce, but run into their apartments. Cowards beyond nth degrees. They wanted to play the feminist, right? I kind of stopped that. They try to make me subscribe to their fantasy, which I will never. These people are such a fraud that they can't even talk about a pedophile that picked up kids when he was an assistant DA. Me, they try to manipulate me into their fantasies. Trash that I would love to take picture of them and show. That's how trashy they are. I just pray I don't do anything stupid in a sense because it will make me feel small. They're trash. They're truly the shit of the earth. But they want you to be thinking that you're something like you're a dog. If I'm a dog, what does it make you? And they keep repeating things just like others. They think this brainwashing tactics is going to be like, oh my gosh, you're right. I am a pedophile, and you guys are protecting kids. It never happened. You guys are the pedos, not only because you work for pedophiles, but you try to make other people be the pedos. What do you think this tactics you know what they say? They're so daring, they're so mean that they're gonna implant child porn on my computer. Do you understand? That's why I will never let them live their fantasy. This piece of shit have done the worst things to the most innocent, and they just whisper, "They were there." And it's funny when they use these younger ones, thinking that I'm gonna be like, because they're so young and innocent sounding. That means that they're not doing this thing to women and children. Do you know there's a woman who literally calls out the fact that there's this. First of all, she says there's a bunch of women involved. You're not even a woman. She said that according to her, she said there's so many females. What kind of woman would do that? She's not even a woman. And then she calls out and says, um, there's this young person talking via V2K, and then she's like, if I catch her, I will beat her. Right? I'm imagining these bottom feeders. I will never touch this trash. They're nasty as low lives. And they keep saying, oh, you are their female because they're gonna frame you by implying child porn because we dared. And because we dared, then you're gonna be these people. And then you ask why there's the BuzzFeed article coming out saying, why is there so many pedophiles in these agencies? Let me just give you a sample as they try to sound fierce doing that.
Did you know that there's a simple combination of natural ingredients that will help you poop out pounds of old rotten waste in your colon within just a while? Getting through their ranks. If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee. Number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind those computer screens within the walls of Langley, within the Pentagon, and throughout the broader intelligence community?
Let me repeat what this person was saying. He was saying there should be some kind of committee to ask why, first of all, the surveillance, and then why is there so many pedophiles behind the walls of Langley and the Pentagon and the broader intelligence community. Now, we all know that these people are not the people in charge here, right? This technology, this DARPA like technology, this advanced sophisticated weapon is not coming from somebody who lives in this area. They're not purchasing somewhere. Obviously, people are overseeing this. People are controlling and managing things here. And guess who? the intelligence community. The word oversee. I used that word earlier, and they using now. I'm using it now. Do you think that I think this somebody here in New York City in this building is really in charge of this? Like I said, this technology is sophisticated to a point of no return. And in my one of my video, I talked about the way they have this predictable ability because they control you, and the technology might be sophisticated, but the people are just people who sold their soul to pedophiles. So do not be. I'm not impressed at this point. I've made a video about it, and I expect that to continue to happen. But we know why they're so sophisticated. These godlike powers, this control they have comes from something, and entities that control and that manage these bottom feeders. Right? I've seen them. If I've shown some pictures, these people will say something that I will experience. Is it because they're geniuses? No. It's because they're part of this program that is led by the government and led by this intelligence community filled with pedophiles. And they use these people that feel empowered and will do anything to maintain this sense of they will create a mental acrobacy. As we say acrobacy, they try to make me imagine a child and do some pedophile things. And that's what you hear in the North campaign. To to make themselves believe that this thing is naturally happening. And they call it when they know it's too obviously on the spectrum, they say, oh, we are at war. They're not at war. These people are far from war. These cowards are in part a part of a human experimentation where I'm the subject, and they use this trash that have sold their soul to pedophiles that do these things to women and children, and they live off a reality they put together. Now, I've said something about how they always do this pedophilia type of torture, and before that, let me just say something. Um, when they use these childlike people, I see them for what they are. It means that they're going to be doing this to even more people, women and children. And because it takes very little to do what they do, you can distance yourself from reality. For example, see who's involved. I heard somebody talk right outside. That was the first time. It's been a while since I've seen them coming outside in. Meaning that you don't need to be the bravest. You do things the most cowardly way. You're far from anything warlike, right? The only thing warlike is a life is being tormented. But these people are just nothing. And for me, they try to psychologically break me down by warning me about how I'm going to be raped. The one thing they like to say is like, it's going to be their a hole, meaning that I'm going to get raped by people and they're going to do things to my a hole. Listen, let's talk about rectum real quick.
I vibrate. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of
The source are these exotic weapons. I've passed 2 psychological evaluations. Not one, but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get.
So whatever's going to happen to my rectum, understand they do these horrible things to women. Right? They do this horrible torture, sexual torture to these women. Now, do they look like monsters? No, they're just trash sitting next door. They're sitting in the apartment doing whatever they can do remotely. Zapping a woman's rectum. Now, are they going to block that out? Of course. Reality for them is that they live in a fantasy. They tell themselves, we're in a different program. We don't do that. No, you are a part of that. You do this to women and children. You are the foulest human being on this earth. You are the bottom of this. You're the scum of the scum. Because on top of that, they try to maintain these things like they're normalizing it. And then they keep saying, "Oh, you know what? Oh, guess what? We're going." The disgusting part right now, what they're doing themselves, because they tell me how they're going to frame me by implanting child porn. And this is coming from people who have issues with pedophilia in these agencies, right? Like the men said, there should be some kind of hearing about why is there so many pedophiles in this in this is intelligence community, this the broad intelligence community. Why? They're knowing child porn on their government devices and everything else. What does it mean about them? It means there's a pattern of pedophilia ongoing in these agencies, which they're part of. Well, they're part of in regard of they're being managed by them, right? This is why they have normalized this kind of pedophilia things. And they call you a dog. Well, this trash are involved in a program that does this to women and children. So to me, I see them for what they are, low life. I rather get raped every day of my life than be involved in this kind of thing. To have that attached to my living, to what I've been involving myself with, being attached to something that is so foul, so disgusting that even children are being tortured. They're part of this. Some of these people doing this to me, I know for a fact, some of the people right now involved in my tormenting have done this to people, including women. I know some more than others. Some will continue to do this. Some have started with me and will continue with more. Women, children, whatever. This feeling that they're feeling right now. If you look at their life, they don't have this kind of control in their own life. There's something that happened, and I'm going to call this the spicy sense. They've done these disgusting things where sometimes I can feel there's a kid around me because they make me feel this weird stimulations. It's so disturbing. Do you know? I'm like, I feel like, oh my gosh, there's like literally, it happened. I was on a date, and as I'm saying that, they keep telling me how they're gonna be raped. I'm gonna be raped because they want me to identify and be scared to say that because they won't be like, oh my gosh, it's you. So let me repeat that. One of the manipulation they've done to me is I was on a date. I was on a date, as I'm saying that. Saliva and trying to. I was on a date, and I'm on this date, and I'm there before my date is there. I'm feeling a weird feeling, a weird sensation. I'm just eating and I'm drinking my drink, and I'm feeling a weird stimulation. And like this is the stimulation I get when they do these things toward children. And I'm like, there's a child around me or somebody who's underage they want me to be stimulated to by. I know, I'm not sure who it is, and I'm not seeing. I see somebody, some short person with like a suit, you know. I get already a little feeling, but this person has a suit. You can't tell anything. She's dressed in a suit. It's very short. And then she turns around and I look at her, I was like, oh, that's a kid. After that, they were trying to make me look at her in a sexual way. And because thankfully she was wearing a suit, it would take like they would really try to create. I could see her pass by me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you want me to look at her?" So and they want me to look at her and try to create perception based on her body. They're trying to create something sexual. And now what they've done, because at the moment I was able to kind of block off this disturbing perception of the body, of her body, and because they're gonna turn it into something sexual, they made me think, and this is how they play with your brain. They made me think of I went to this Halloween party, maybe a 30-second floor. There, first of all, I'm getting too old because I was there and there was like mid 20, early 20s people. Right, I go there, and I see this person. She's with a guy who's 30 years old, and she's with him. She's a short, I guess, young woman, but she looks very young. She's dressed, how the Halloween people now dressed up, right? Very like typical Halloween, right? Now, this person is dating a 30-year-old man. They're together, as you can hear the noise campaign. Give me a second. You hear this next door neighbor who was just making noise campaign. I thought it was somebody who was here for me. So this is a young woman in her early 20s or so with a 30-some-year-old man. You hear the noise campaign. He's trying to make me subscribe to this thing because I know they're the pedophiles, right? They force people to have this feeling. So let me see if they actually outside of the. Okay. Yeah. So they want me to subscribe to this, right? That's why you hear these people talking outside my door. right? They couldn't say the name. If they can't say the name of this person, the lead. Then I'm talking about, but they want you to subscribe to this. These people filled with pedophiles in these agencies. By the way, he said black girls, I think, or something like that. White girl, black girls. I don't know either one, which is supposed to go into my brain and manipulate me to be stimulated in one way. And so I was at this Halloween party, and there was a bunch of like young 20, some 23, 24-year old people drinking and doing what the 20s-year old people do. And there's this the host of this party upstairs, who's with a 30-year-old man there, was dressed in a like Halloween like thing, right? And it's just nasty. And Halloween like party, and she looked very young, but I guess she's in her 20s. Everybody there was in the 20s. I kept asking, you should have seen me. I was like, how old are you? How old are you? How old are you? How old are you? And they all feel like they're 20 something, 24, 20. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? And the host comes and she's like, hey, where you from? Who invited you here? I was like, can you like you didn't invite? She left me. She told me to leave, so I left. It was okay. I was like, okay, whatever. Now they're trying to make me imagine this person who looks really young, but she's in the 20s, early 20s. She was the host of that party, apparently. And try to make me imagine her to be the person working at the restaurant, which for sure that person looked like a 16-year-old. But because this 20-year old, 20 some year old, 24 some year old was a person that there's a person that looks young. Like to me, like if I saw her in the street, and because she, and dressed normally, not dressed the way she was dressed, I would be. It would be like those type of moments where I couldn't tell their age. It would be like, oh, you can go either way with me. You look very young to me. They're trying to make me merge this person in her 20s with this obvious like 16-year-old kid to make me start looking at her in a sexual way. In the first place, this 20-some-year-old, naturally, I will not be like, you just look like you look too young for me, even though you're in your 20s. But they do these manipulations in your brain, and they want you to make you subscribe to. They want you to subscribe to these things. They play with your brain. They force you to give reaction and feelings to create to make you a pedophile. Did you know that I didn't even have to see somebody? I was like, I felt the sensation they make me have. I was like, there's a kid here. They're giving me this nasty stimulation. They're giving this sensation. As I'm saying that, there's like an ice cream thing going on, and they try to make me bite my inner uh, mouth. It's disgusting. They do these weird things to me to make me feel uncomfortable. But they do their best to break you down to accept these nonsensical things. There's a time when I went to another date. It's always how they gave me they try to manipulate me. I'm going on a date and there's somebody who asked me where should I sit. Now I'm feeling a weird feeling. I'm feeling a weird feeling about her, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start asking. Excuse me, how old are you? She's like, oh, I'm 16 years old. It's like, oh, that's why I felt this thing. Yo, baby. This is one because she's kind of tall, but she's like very childlike. I'm like, oh my gosh, how old are you? She's 16. Oh, okay. I said, oh, and she's like, why? I was like, no, I'm just trying to guess people's age. She's like, okay. I was like, wait. I have a picture of her because I was like, they're gonna try to mess with me. You see her, she got big chunky lips, lips, cheeks. They try to make me say some. Wow, it's so disgusting. You see how they manipulate? She got like big, like lips and she got big cheeks. She has big cheeks, so they're making me say lips instead of cheeks. That's how they manipulate me to frustrate me. And then you're like, yeah, you're a baby. I know you're a baby. That's why I was getting this weird feeling. And you know, it's just that they get you to feel weird feelings, and then try to make you feel uncomfortable about it. So stay strong, because they're going to do whatever they can, and justice will be done. This bottom feeder sold is sold to pedophiles, and I want you to be one.